Hello guys, welcome to another UPCRATE unboxing video. I'm very excited for this box, so let's open it and see what's inside. Okay, that's quite an interesting motto. Let's see what's inside here. Oh my god! There's ink inside! Oh my god, this looks so good. I need to calm down, really. So we have Winsor & Newton ink in emerald. I love this little illustration here. So then we have watercolors by Van Gogh, or Van Gogh, or however you want to call them. And we have carmine and permanent lemon yellow. Then we have a watercolor brush. Wait a second. Okay, you probably have to dip this part into water and then pull this out to create a vacuum and, yeah, soak in the water. So next up we have a little box, Skrim X Upgrade. So, ooh, there are more watercolors inside. They look like little pills. Okay, all these watercolors are glued on this piece of paper. Oh, and we have a color chart. It's Cosmic Wave, Moon Dust, Atlantis, Raw Gold, and Osiris Red. And we have a watercolor brush in size 0 by Leonard. I really like this kind of watercolor brush. And here we have the bottle post. Okay, then we have an information that UPCRATE is raising the prices, and if you paid 22 euros before, you now have to pay 24 euros. And underneath are 3 sheets of watercolor paper. I don't know what brand this is, but we will soon find out. Then we have a super cute sticker sheet. And last but not least, a very pretty art print. So my camera battery died right after unboxing the last item, so here we go again. Let's test out all the materials, and I will be using the watercolor paper I usually use because UPCRATE again included this very expensive watercolor paper and I don't want to use it for swatching and waste it. So first let's find out how this watercolor brush works. I read in the bottle post that you just have to press it when you hold it into water and then it will soak up the water. So let's see if that works. Not really. Okay, it's soaked up some water, but it's actually not a lot. And I'm still wondering why you can pull out this thing at the end. Ah, okay. Now it soaks up a little more water. So it's filled about half. Let's see how it works. So I first put some drops water on here to activate the paint. Then I'll wait a little bit. Meanwhile, I'll also put drops on here. So let's start with red. Oh yes, that's a pretty red. And it's super pigmented. Now let's try yellow. Let's mix these two. And we get a pretty dark orange. So let's use the Skrim watercolors next, and I'm really excited for these because there are some shiny colors in here. Okay, I think I'll use the other brush for this. Okay, that's a special green. In here it looks really, really green, but as soon as I apply it, it almost seems silver gray with a tint of green. And it's actually a little difficult to get an even coat of pigment. It's very streaky at the moment, but maybe I just need to practice a little bit. Wow, okay, that's super vibrant. And now we get some gold. And it looks really, really nice. So I tried these three. Next it's blue. So next we have something that looks silver, but depending on the angle from which you look at it, it kind of changes color. So I can see a little bit of red or pink and a little bit of green maybe, or gray. I'm not sure. Let's have a look at it. Well, on the paper it doesn't change color as much, but it's still pretty. So I'm just testing out the paint that looks green in here. I'm really confused right now because they look so similar on the paper, but in here they look completely different. And the last one looks like a light silvery green. Wow, that's pretty. Okay, I love it. This one is my favorite of all of the watercolors. So the watercolors are dry now, and I hope you can see this on camera, but this one actually looks really green when you change the angle. And this one does not look as much green. It looks rather pink when you change the angle. And the rest doesn't change color at all. It just shimmers a little bit. So let's test the Winsor & Newton ink, and I'm really excited for this one because I've been wanting to try these Winsor & Newton inks for a long time, and I'm not sure if I'll use a brush with it or maybe a dip pen, because I'm a little worried that it will stain the brushes, but let's see. Oh, it's actually a lot lighter than I had expected. However, it's super pigmented, so I like that. And you can actually get even lighter with it. So I just tried working with a dip pen, and Still, it's actually a lot lighter than I had thought it would be, because it looks super dark in this little jar, but nevertheless, it looks really pretty. So what's really different from most boxes I received with UPCRATE is that you have all primary colors here, so I can basically mix whatever color I want and I'm not limited to a specific color scheme. And I think that's really cool. However, I don't have an idea what to paint yet, so I have to think a bit about it. But the colors, in my opinion, look all really, really good. Very vibrant, very pigmented, and the metallic colors, especially this one down here, are super, super pretty. So this is going to be fun. At first I had no idea what to paint, like always, but I soon developed a very clear picture in my head. I asked myself, where or when do I let it all out, as the topic is called, and besides when making art, the answer is when I do pole dance or aerial hoop. These are not very common hobbies, but it's so much fun. If you ever get the chance to try it, go for it. I love both kinds of aerial arts equally, but for this project I felt more drawn to aerial hoop. Or in this case, aerial moon. The name is pretty self-explanatory. Instead of a hoop, you have a crescent moon shape, so the hoop is open at one side. And no, I did not make that up, it really does exist. I haven't tried aerial moon yet because there are just regular hoops at my local studio, but I would love to try it someday. So since this is kind of a niche topic, and because I had a very specific setting in mind, I couldn't find a reference photo that fit the image in my head. So instead of browsing the internet for forever, I created my own reference by merging some photos in Photoshop. If you want to know how that works, let me know in the comments, then I'll make a video about that. I started coloring the sketch using the drawing ink and it worked surprisingly well with the brush. However, you really need to hurry because the ink dries a lot faster than watercolor. And talking about drying, as soon as I started working with the watercolors, I noticed that the paper does not dry as fast as the paper I'm used to, which is a great thing because you basically have more time to work in a specific area and create gradients before it all dries. Because once the paint has dried, it's rather difficult to change the gradients you already created, in my opinion. You'd either have to re-wet the whole section and paint over it in order to get a somewhat smooth gradient, or you work wet on dry and try to glaze over your first layer. Both options are more a hit or miss for me since I'm not a pro watercolor artist, so it's really nice to have a little more time here. Also, when working wet and wet, the paint spread really nicely in comparison to my regular watercolor paper, and it didn't buckle as much, even though I used a lot of water. I know that UPCRATE included this paper before, but I think they put it in a box with gouache and not watercolor, so I hadn't realized how great it is with watercolors. So this was basically my first time using watercolors on cotton paper, and I am impressed. I love it. However, I don't see myself buying this paper in the future because 20 sheets are $56.99 and I'm pretty sure that I couldn't enjoy painting because I'd be constantly worrying that I'm wasting the paper because my paintings aren't good enough or whatever. So if UPCRATE keeps including this paper from time to time, I'll be very happy about it, but I won't buy it myself. The watercolors that were included in this box were super nice to work with, very pigmented. I really liked them, so nothing to critique here either. Talking about the brushes, I really like the Leonard brush. As you saw, that's the brush that I was using the whole time for my painting, but I didn't like the water tank brush that much. First of all, I'm still not sure if holding it into water and pulling the back part is the right way to load it with water, because with the back part sticking out, it wouldn't fit most pencil cases, so I'm not sure about that. And this is mostly due to personal preference, but I don't really like working with water tank brushes because I feel like I don't have as much control about the amount of water that's coming out. So the only critique I have today is based on personal preference, so it might be completely different for you. And all in all, I really enjoyed this box and liked the way the painting came out, so yeah, great box, love it, can't wait for the next one. Let me know in the comments what you think about water tank brushes, and please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye!